Morning everybody, welcome back to Sandy Bottom Homestead. I just did the planting guide, or what I'm doing in my garden for March, but then I had a thought afterwards where it was like, what am I going to do in my garden for March? Because we're trying to prepare crops to get out of the ground for spring, or for our summer planting, our warm season. So I want to go over that today and just tell you what I'm doing. Should be a short video, hopefully, and just kind of fill you in on that. First thing is really important, actually. It's this onion bed. You can see the onions are getting very large. They have really started to take off, and we are going to fertilize them. I just gave them some blood meal recently, so we're going to give them another dose through the drip system, probably at least one more in March, maybe two. And then once they start bulbing, we'll not add any more fertilizer. So once those onions bulb, no more fertilizer. Remember that, please. Just cut it out. And that's going to be a big part of getting these ready. So we should be on track for that. If we see them, and the reason why we're doing it through the drip is because it's an instant feed. So we did a blood meal and everything already, and it'll work its way out, but we'll do the instant feed just to kind of bump it up. We will continue to harvest our Brussel sprouts. And I mean, you can see that this one is really nice. So we're probably going to harvest this one sooner than later. But we'll continue to harvest these as we can and just prepare the bed. And I'm actually not going to plant anything for spring in it. I'll redig all the lines up this month after hopefully we'll get everything out by the end of March. Redig all the lines up, lay them down, put some compost in there, and just let it sit for a bit. And then we'll put something in it for spring or summer. You have to remember, our summer planting happens in April. So we don't have much time left, and the rate we're going, we could harvest all of these plants now, but we've got time. So I'm just gonna kind of let them go. And when this gets fed, everything will get fed, or we can control it. So we'll make sure that we feed this one too to get some bigger sprouts. And really the same for this bed. So we're gonna be harvesting now. We're doing our weekly cabbage harvest, and it is time to do a weekly harvest. And you can see this bobcat cabbage is nice size. So we'll be pulling that out, and then just kind of making room for the other ones to finish up. But we'll pull them out, hopefully, and it may be last minute, but we will rework the lines and then get everything kind of stirred up, weeded, and just rest for the period of time. Now that we're getting warmer and the days are getting longer, these things will head up a lot faster. So it always happens this way. I will put them in, and I've actually gotten harvest earlier than typical, and that's part of the just tinkering with the planting dates. But once they all come about April, they'll all come out. It'll be within the next month, you're gonna start heading up really fast. So we're just gonna keep pulling them, because every one we pull, we make more room for the next one to get bigger. So we're just gonna keep doing that, relieving the stress on it, and then relieving the stress on the garden itself, on the bed, on the soil, or the dirt. One thing we don't have to do yet, but I'm anticipating doing, is we're gonna have to actively do the straw soil method that I was telling you I was gonna do in my potatoes this year. So within a couple weeks, or really within a week, we'll probably have the potatoes coming up, and then we can pull it or cover them. And then we'll probably have to do another hilling pretty soon after that. And we're gonna continue feeding. There's gonna be a lot of feeding going on here, because as the temperatures warm up and it gets more, even though we've put compost in, which is technically a fertilizer and an amendment, we're gonna add more fertilizer in so we can push that growth and get it to meet our goal of, we really want things to start coming out of the ground by the middle of it, or by April 1 is really what we want to start happen. And it's gonna be a little bit delayed. If we get the lettuce in the ground in time, then all of that stuff is gonna come up, and we can harvest that at will. So, but see, we know what we're planting there. So we're putting our corn there, and we have to wait until May anyways. So technically we've got 6 to 7 weeks before we even need to consider doing anything there. You know, the cabbages, we're gonna put tomatoes behind them. So we've got time, because we don't put those out right away. So we've got time to kind of work all this stuff. Now, I know you remember in the last video, I was talking about the trellises, or in 2 videos ago, I was talking about the trellises and how much we leave them open, or how we leave them open so we can get more in there. It's the same thing. So they're ready to go. So everything there is ready. If this broccoli doesn't come out by April, we're screwed. We're not going to get any broccoli. So we've got 5 weeks to get it to start heading before it gets too hot and it bolts. And I'll give you a little peek at it, and it's doing rather nice. You can see that it is all doing very good. It is time to feed it again. And when I say feed it, this time it'll be through the drip system, and then we'll come back. And in about a week, I will put more fertilizer on top to give it one last feeding that way. And then hopefully that'll push it to get to that point to where it wants to start heading. Not everybody's like this. This is the downfall of my area. I know a lot of people have been watching this channel and been like, oh, it must be nice. You can grow all winter, this, that, and the other. Which, first of all, we're not growing all winter. We're kind of like waiting a little bit. There's a lot of waiting, and there's a lot of managing loss and cold. But at the same time, in the spring, we have such a small window for things to grow before they bolt that we really have to push it hard. And this is where the fertilization comes in for us, because we can push it and make it get to its point to where it wants to get to that final push, that final crop, you know? And if it wasn't for that, we wouldn't be able to do anything. So we wouldn't have a lot of these crops for spring, and we wouldn't be able to maximize the amount of space that we use and the amount that we get in and out of our garden every year. And that's why we have the size garden we do. And the reason why I have all of these raised beds is because I can treat each one individual and make its own schedule. So this is all working out to plan so far, but I can definitely tell you there's going to be hiccups, but we've got time for it to happen. And you'd be surprised when the weather is just right. You will be surprised how fast these plants will grow. And the weather is just right now. It is like right in that sweet spot. You get some warm days, you get some cool nights, you get some cool days, cool nights, warm nights. So you're getting, you know, you don't want it to be hot, cold. But right now we're in that nice flow. And if we can keep that up, we're gonna be good to go. The carrots is another thing we're doing. And I'm probably going to give them another feeding too, but we're putting melons after this behind the carrots, so we're not in a big rush to get those out of the ground. We're going to let those do their thing. They're just now coming up, so we've got, I'd say to be about May 15th before we start to get our carrots out of the ground there. And that's going to make a big difference. But once we feed them, we can push that growth and have them start developing that root. And that's what it's all about. So the month of March is very important. There's a lot of really important things that sets us up for the rest of the year. And if we miss a beat and we don't do what we're supposed to do, at least on our homestead in our garden, then we definitely we miss it, and we can have epic fail as far as like a whole bed of broccoli where you don't get any harvest. That's not what we want at all.